It was the kind of moment that television producers dream about and court watchers never forget. A collision of reputations so dramatic it seemed almost scripted, except it wasn't, because when the famously sharp-tongued former Judge Richard Posner dismissed Representative Jasmine Crockett on national television as a fake lawyer, the insult landed like a thunderclap across the panel, drawing gasps from the studio audience, shocked expressions from fellow commentators, and a smirk from Posner himself, who has long built his brand on uncompromising bluntness. But what neither he nor anyone watching expected was how calmly, how devastatingly, Jasmine would transform that insult into fuel for a reply so commanding, so rooted in her actual courtroom record, that by the end of her words Posner himself sat silent, eyes fixed, lips pressed tightly as if struggling to conjure the comeback that never came. Because Jasmine did not meet his jab with outrage or defensive pleading, she met it with evidence, with stories, with victories, with the undeniable weight of a career spent in the trenches of real cases with real human lives at stake. She began by leaning forward in her chair, voice even, almost amused, saying, "Fake lawyer. That's a curious charge for someone who has argued and won dozens of cases in state and federal courts, from criminal defense to civil rights, cases that have changed actual lives instead of just filling pages of theory." And then she launched into a stunning tour de force, recounting how she defended indigent clients who had been chewed up by a justice system that too often treats poverty as guilt, how she won acquittals where the evidence was flimsy and prosecutors relied on intimidation, how she secured settlements for families brutalized by police misconduct, how she stood in courtrooms where her opponents underestimated her and walked out with verdicts that flipped the balance of power. And as she listed case after case, victory after victory, her cadence tightened, her tone sharpened, her momentum grew, until the insult that began the exchange was not just neutralized but obliterated, replaced by a portrait of a woman who had built her reputation not on academic musings or television hot takes but on the hard, gritty, unforgiving work of lawyering in America. She invoked one case in particular, describing a young black man wrongly accused of armed robbery, facing decades in prison, where she uncovered sloppy police lineups and cross-examined eyewitnesses until the jury returned a not guilty verdict. And as she spoke, the silence in the studio deepened, the cameras zoomed in, the audience leaned forward, because she wasn't just defending herself, she was reminding everyone what real advocacy looks like. And then she pivoted, without raising her voice, without sneering, to address Posner directly, saying, "Judge, you may have written thousands of pages of opinions, but I've looked into the eyes of clients who walked free because someone actually fought for them. And if that makes me a fake lawyer in your book, then I'll take that title with pride, because the verdicts, the dismissals, the settlements, the lives changed. They speak louder than any insult." And at that, the crowd erupted in applause so loud the producers had to motion for calm, while Posner sat visibly shaken, adjusting his glasses, his trademark confidence cracking under the weight of her words. Analysts replayed the clip endlessly, noting how Jasmine used the moment not just to defend her credentials but to flip the script entirely, turning the accusation into an opportunity to spotlight her record. And social media exploded with hashtags like #RealLawyer and #SpeechlessJudge, memes showing Posner silenced, commentators framing it as a generational clash between ivory tower elitism and lived, frontline experience. And by the next morning, the clip dominated news cycles, late-night monologues, and political podcasts alike. What made the moment historic was not just that she silenced a critic, but that she did so with composure, precision, and the kind of moral authority that can only come from earned victories, proving once again that for Jasmine Crockett, insults are not walls but stepping stones, and when challenged, she does not just answer, she prosecutes, she argues, she wins, leaving even her harshest detractors with nothing but silence, a silence that speaks louder than any gavel ever could.